Let's say the blue team, if we were going to take those plates off, has a more modern setup. I think Sejuani doesn't have the perfect 1v1. It's not as good as Na into the Poppy. However, it's still pretty excellent. You know, they've got the Kaiser into the Ezreal. They have Secret to mitigate some of Braum's setup here. The Bard should be able to mess with Braum from long range, get the Kaiser sat in lane properly, and then even spread that influence out across the map.
We will have to wait and see if that influence does get spread through the effective roams, as you point out, in just a moment, as we should be loading into game as soon as the wonderful producers of the official broadcast do take us there. But yeah, this is some interesting tech coming out from the side of Jesters. I do have to fall into alignment with you that they seem to have the better overall idea of the meta, and a little bit more synergy going forward with what they want to do should counteract AXIZ nicely. That Wukong in particular, so strong. Almost always going to hedge my bets on the team with the Monkey King, but we have hit the rift here for our final game of the day, and it should be an absolute banger indeed. RJ versus AXIZ. Where should we, not avert, but where should we place our eyes early here, Temporal, in what could be read as a bit of a slower meta?
Potentially. I think it's slower on the big things, however, showing good objectives and getting your timers off in lane really more important. Sejuani takes absolutely 0 time to get going in this top lane. The champion just has so much in the way of base damage. So the top lane will likely be a source of early bloodshed. Any misstep from the Bard leaves him open to stuns from Ezreal and Braum. That's the potential. Mid should be an absolute snooze fest until level 4 at the earliest, level 6, level 8, maybe at the latest.
Anything about these runes coming out for these players that speaks to anything unusual or maybe telegraphs what their plans are? To me, it's looking pretty standard across the board here.
Yep, not a thing. We're not seeing any new Kaiser setups, which I think is fine into this lane. It's super characterized into the Ezreal, and that's really the only slightly creative choice here. Otherwise, this is bread and butter. You've seen many of these matchups in different times across League of Legends, with the Yone into Corki when Corki was popular. About a year ago, then we got the Kaiser into the Ezreal as well. Megaman is trying his hardest in mid to get the shove on. It isn't going to make too much damage, too much change to recap, but it will let Megaman just breathe a little earlier on this second level on his first push.
Indeed, and he does get that pushed all the way. Doesn't quite land all the poke that he wants to, but for a little while at least will be safe. Could be sitting on that Valkyrie. No, it's the E and the Q actually coming out first, so if they do find an early angle at the Wukong, could be scary, but he did get that early ward down onto the Wraiths to try and prevent any such aggression. So just going to let this push back out. Should be easy sailing for a little while until you point out that level 4 mark where recap is really going to start to get deadly on this assassin type samurai in the mid lane. Likewise, things are just sort of in that phase, right? We look at these junglers, they seem to be clearing perpendicularly to each other, but the waves are going to be shoved in on both side lanes in ways where early dives not really tenable in this meta of high damage turrets, so gonna have to wait a little bit longer for any action, it feels like.
Just for now, at least a moment to breathe. Yeah, it takes you only a little time to get the Fate Unsealed ready. The teleport out from Sol, so he does have that call. Just a little bit set up early on to sort of teleport on the Kaiser when you're left on your own. Something we've seen across the world. Most notably Teddy on a free kit a few weeks ago. It's just...
Oh, that was a nice binding there, but it's not going to have any follow-up, unfortunately.
No, deals 100 damage. The most interesting thing right now is we all notice Yellow Yoshi just got a reset and has a CS lead in top. It was slightly more pronounced before Eno stayed in lane a little bit longer, but... Our one trick up here really showing he knows his stuff into even the more creative matchups, as Sejuani is a little bit newer to the meta in top lane, but Yellow Yoshi holding tried and true in a lane that I really think the Sejuani should be gaining an advantage in.
Yeah, I mean, the chunk outs coming through are a little bit nasty for sure. If you're an RJ fan, maybe a bit worried to see this thought of as an immovable wall, this Sejuani getting the hurt put on them, but we do see Swamp hovering around the bot side here on the other part of the map, Temporal.
He has finished his full clear, both junglers now. The option to get out of his Swamp is pinging into the bottom lane. This is looking a little untenable, a little bit difficult. Ozzy is going to flash forwards.
Yeah, he does apply the Q, but not really enough forward movement at this early stage to make anything else come forward. So it is just going to be the flash burnt out of Ozika here. And no Hex Flash secondary. You trade it for RJ, their support. It's going to be Secret's Flash in return. So generally things are maintaining equilibrium.
Just about. The Braum flash, not normally the most valuable. You've got that little leap anyway to defend your teammates, your primary functions. Not the end of the world to blast that one and trade. Maybe look to pick up Secret in the next team fight. Not a lot to be said right now. We are in that slow scaling phase, as you mentioned. Wookie really does take quite a while to get going. And, it won't even be attacked successfully by Recap until the next few minutes.
When that Corki scaling does come on through, how would you like to see them leverage the sort of poke synergy they have with the Corki and the Ezreal when it does come to playing on this red side? I feel like it's a strategy we're seeing a little bit more common these days.
Yeah, get it first on every objective, make your opponent's approach really, really difficult. If they've got to walk through the missiles, if they've got to walk towards you, making your targeting, your aim even easier. And that is the way in which you deny Rascal Jester here, that you can make the best use of your missile barrage from the mid lane.
Yeah, definitely so. As we do see, Recap does now have the 6. The Fate Unsealed is available. Maybe this is when the spice will start to arrive. In the meanwhile, it's just going to be more of the same. Swamp getting in on this top crab. This could give RJ some time to flush out the vision around the Drake pit, try and establish an early objective for themselves. But here goes the bot lane of AXIZ trying to make an aggressive move, but a nice little cupcake for Soul mitigates a bit of that.
And with the pressure, with Secret not being there in the 2v1 and going even, as Rascal Jester's onto the first dragon. Hachimecha dedicating his time down here, so a slight CS deficit now, but nothing too bad for Rascal Jesters. They strike first, and they will look to continue stacking those dragons through the game. We've had a cloud. We will have... Spectator doesn't want to tell us. Another dragon in the near future, and he has plenty of time to clear his camps on the bottom side, get up into the Herald, and just have a nice, easy path through the jungle.
The vision setup around that Herald area, not bad right now for the side of AXIZ with a minute to go. Maybe they'll be able to make that response. As you do point out, the flash being down on Secret would leave any roam plays from both those supports up. He'd be at a bit of a disadvantage as the squishier of those two supports getting up. We'll see if either of them can achieve that 6 before they get there. Nice little blue handoff to Megaman, but that is definitely a spot where some bloodshed could be wrought.
Maybe at this stage, I think both teams are very comfortable. So I'm hesitant to sort of give false expectations. Swamp,
let me hope, Temporal. I can dream that there will be fighting at some point.
Maybe later. Maybe later. Swamp is nowhere near the Herald right now, so he's gonna have to walk up here. He's gonna have to telegraph his position. His lane should be neutralized as well. So both teams able to move towards this objective. Recap, just trying to make it as awkward as possible for AXIZ. We'll move in, at the same time as Breakwood in to the top of this river, and AXIZ pushed in bot lane. They are committing their bot lane up. Soul's teleport won't quite be ready, won't quite be matched. This is AXIZ with the first move. They walk once again onto the river.
Yeah, here they come approaching. We'll see if RJ want to take the tango. Looks like they might set up a bit of a bait brush or wait on this. I'm not sure if they're aware how much deep vision exactly Rascal Jester has, but they have a great idea that they're not on it. Now Yelioshi coming around, the on my way pings are coming out, but these teams are very hesitant to get into some high tempo action, Temporal. I wonder why.
Yeah, neither team has a lot to risk right now, durability or otherwise. Both of them look to gain advantages through lanes or assign Bard first to places that can't be responded to. Instead,
finally AXIZ, they're starting to approach.
They've only just started this. Rascal Justice kind of called their bluff. They move Soul late, but he's still here on time. Small advantage now. AXIZ, they're worrying about it, and the ultimate comes through.
Yeah, that is going to be the lockup onto Ozika, and here comes the Sejuani. It was the Glacial Prison missing out, and now the Wukong is spinning all over everybody. Yelioshi trying to play keeper here, but in the end, it's just a whole lot of cooldowns exchanged, and it's not going to be any blood as Ozika trying to take the aggressive move to find more. Not going to find anything off the back of the queue. Do AXIZ just turn back for the Herald here?
It's really tough. It looked like Rascal Jester's got their setup, but Recap was not there with the Fate Unsealed to really let loose, blow someone up. Instead, Jester's just taking their time, breathing in and off the wave. Just going slowly. It's going well. The time to kill that Herald still quite significant, and Secret is nearby.
Yeah, that's going to be another nice binding as it sets up Yone to go over all of them. He gets the damage back as he snaps away. Look at all those low health bars for AXIZ. They've been routed, forced to run through the top side of the map, through the choke, and that is all the prize RJ needed, trying to look for the snipe. Not going to find it, but they will claim the neutral objective here.
RJ take their time, and they're rewarded with patient, calculated decision-making. So recap, hold on to his ultimate through that first engagement, and it is all the Jesters needed to contest the Herald, force AXIZ away, and now will just be advantaged. Despite AXIZ spending so long not farming, that gold lead turnaround is completely from just farming a few more waves and timing their approaches better. Secret here, being the human ward the Jesters needed, and with the flash Q through, sets up for a huge 4-mana ultimate. Deals so much damage that AXIZ no longer feel confident on the objective. They back away. The Jesters able to push through.
Yeah, critically, Ozga did have the ultimate save there, didn't exchange it with the Tempered Fate from Secret in the first engagement around the Herald, so it was able to escort a bit of a retreat without giving away any kills on the back half, but still going to hurt to give up that big Rift Herald now. Where do you think Hachimecha...
so much for it as well. They missed so many minion waves that the gold advantage flipped. There were no takedowns. None of that gold is through like killing your opponents. Instead, it's just through farming the waves.
It's beautiful. It brings a tear to your eye, the macro prowess that was shown to make AXIZ waste so much time there. And now they also have the prize of that Herald to use to inflate that gold lead even more. As Swamp's going to look for the lane gank here. Got the cookies down.
2 Jesters bot laners, both on full health, both ranged. I want to see what Swamp's gonna pull here, because I don't think a lot's gonna happen.
As the Heartbreaker, maybe could go for some W shenanigans. He's gonna do it with the flash to find the stun. This could be so going up, but it's a great Tempered Fate to bring back 2. But there's the stun from the Braum passive to press the attack into the True Shot Barrage. Gonna line it up nice for Sangchu. And now they can move right over to this Drake. Hachimecha hopping the wall to get out of dodge. A nice one picked up for AXIZ there.
They managed to find the way through with the flash Heartbreaker, and it looked like Sol flashing in slightly the wrong direction, a little bit of miscommunication. Secret's ultimate not enough to save his AD carry, and for that, that'll be a dragon over the mountain in response. Megamin's still holding onto this package, so AXIZ hold a huge tempo advantage right now, despite the Sangchu taking a little bit of poke. AXIZ have another move on the map. They still have this package. They still have the tempo. Once Swamp has cleared his jungle, there is a huge window of opportunity. Instead, the Jesters are jumping first.
The Valkyrie coming out from Megamin, though. Yeah. Knew the limits. Came up to get that wave of shoving, as we do get a replay here of that bot lane fight if you want to take it through us one more time.
There is no reason for Sol to not be stacked inside the minion wave here. He comes down low, trying to make Sangchu walk as far as possible. So mind games there from Sangchu with the Mystic shot. You tend to stand away from your opponent, so the minion wave is all the way between you. It is much, much safer. Solo queue players are home to stand just inside the back of the wave, especially on Kaiser, who can just dash through it so quickly. So AXIZ are rewarded for their play, and will just manage to even up that gold, get themselves a dragon, and get us into a mid game with 2 teams pretty much neck and neck.
Yeah, and I think if you're AXIZ, this is all you can hope for at this point. Goes to show you're here to play with the big boys, that you haven't immediately given away huge deficits in the early game. You are banking on your scaling, as seems to be the message of the day, the message of the split, perhaps. We'll have to see if anybody does shake that up. But as you point out, AXIZ definitely hanging around for now. Might have to wait until that Hextech Drake does hit the rift to see if that balance of power, that seesaw, changes one way or the other.
I really hope it doesn't take that long, Dodge.
You know, it's refreshing. It's different. Sol just completed his call, so there is now a little bit of a gold lead back. You'll notice it's 350 exactly for Rascal Jesters. That is literally the only thing in it. You know what? We're done farming it up. Yellow Yoshi might actually be in a bit of a rough spot, but he's playing Poppy, so it doesn't matter if you misuse your mobility ability. It's fine.
That's fine. Swamp and Hachimecha are going to stare at each other lovingly. over this bush. Neither of them really getting anything significant done at all. Both mid laners miles and miles away.
It reminds me of a brawl in baseball. I don't know if you're aware, as it is an American sport that not many else watch.
I know that there's fighting in hockey. You're telling me there's fighting in baseball?
Well, that's the thing. That's why it reminds me of fighting in baseball, because brawls in baseball is both teams will leave their benches and march at each other, and they'll stare at each other, and they'll get in each other's faces, but they never actually fight. So it was very much a baseball brawl there between Hachimecha and Swamp. Come on, bro, you go. No, you go, bro. It's never gonna happen.
American sports never cease to amaze. It's like, yeah, we could not, ban this physical violence, except it's baseball, so you were never gonna do it anyway.
Oh,
dear,
148 to the Hex Tech.
Oh, there we go. Swamp
might get punished. Yeah, I was going to be caught up. Actually, the Tempered Fate going to do a bit of legwork for the enemy team as AXIZ now gets to kite it out. Sanctu hits the True Shot Barrage. That's 2 going to get picked up. You have to feel his soul is trying to dip, dive, dodge, and duck his way away, but Megaman is here on the flank to pick that one up. So, I mean, he's living for a while, but it's not going to matter. As now the Glacial Prison coming out from Ino trying to turn it around, but you have no backup. Forced to run as Yellow Yoshi's so deep on the recap as well. AXIZ finally make good and pick up 2.
That is an absolute betrayal from Secret. He does lock the enemy up on top of the Cyclone, but it doesn't really do a lot of damage to them when they're invulnerable. Sol was sitting on his Mythic in shop as well, so a really unfortunate fight timing for the Jesters. We'll see it here. They're 3 clump. They're trying to get a reset nice and safely, relying on each other, and Swamp's like, not today, guys, and just from nowhere jumps up. Azuka denies the escape to the south. You see Sol even wanting to path that way. Denied by the Glacial Fissure, and Hatch's Cyclone just made so much worse by Secret's Tempered Fate. Sol left between a rock and a hard place, and even though he'll commit ultimate, he'll commit every single outplay potential. Not enough there as Jester's full, but recap.
Yeah, that Fate Seal going to look for something as Oscar will fall. Now Yellow Yoshi in the thick of things, trying to do that frontline job he was drafted for as the Herald resets. That's such a shame for RJ, as now the poke from a million miles away might just force them off this objective, even down a man for AXIZ. We'll have to see what they can do. The eye turned towards them, but they're a little bit hesitant to move forward here.
Jesters are mostly healed up from being in combat. AXIZ wanting to force the issue. Tempered Fate will nearly catch. Sanctuary takes some chip, but it should be the end of the fight here. AXIZ not quite able to stick to a freshly reset Rascal Jesters.
Yeah, they pick up their second Herald there, so nice control over that topside objective. As that second Herald, it's not going to get you any plate gold, but it could net you a cracked first turret here. Will be a nice gold bonus and open up the map nicely. If they can get this tier 1, then it looks like that's exactly where they're going.
Well,
they're trying to kite it out a little bit.
It's nearly coming in. It will get the tower, not a smidgen more.
A smidgen indeed is what they do convert on, but Megaman coming through with the package just in time for this Drake spawn. I'll have to see if he can put it to good use. Oh, the back canceled on Sanctu before he can reset and TP in. That's going to be key here. Soul now gets Prio on that mid wave. They're dancing around once again, Temporal. Who's going to make the first move? Secret not quite with the Tempered Fate back quite yet.
So got the wave in, the teleport coming through. Both AD carries wearing that summoner spell today, so Sanctu fresh off base. I didn't see if he got an extra item. You'd hope something that would make the difference. He's going to stack up his passive at the side. AXIZ feeling confident now. Eno holds the trigger button. It should be the Glacial Prison first, if not the Tempered Fate. Just looking for AXIZ to coalesce, come a little too close to each other's Secret.
Just going to go forward. It's just going to be the Drake picked up, and now the package defensively, but the Cyclone continuing to go forward. Now the Tempered Fate, again, only going to be doing favors for AXIZ to save the support, and now Secret being chased off. The Heartbreaker fails to go over the wall, and it forces Swamp to flash back. They trade 1 for 1 now as Sanctu picks up the Bard, but there's the Tempered Fate over, or rather the Fate sealed into multiple members, but it's not going to be enough to turn the combat encounter. Once again, it's AXIZ coming out on top. Swamp's not done yet. He has the resets. Recap, where can you go? You can't escape the Rune King today unless you take the wind over the wall. The red buff not quite gonna do the job.
Best part of AXIZ's victory there. They took a little bit of a blow when they followed Secret through his portal, but Swamp stole the best part of the Rascal Jester's composition, and Soul plays it right to the wall. Neither should go down there. Very controlled 1 versus 1. We'll see it here in the replay. They wait a little too long, too nervous of the package. Megaman posturing very aggressively, trying to get Rascal Jester to fall into that trap. And even though Hatch opens up, I'd have liked to have seen Secret's ultimate go a little deeper. If he caught Sangju Megamin there on the back or force them forwards instead, much more advantageous. AXIZ go a little too far. They do come through, and Megamin instantly explodes. A little too much confidence. You know, Rascal Jesters almost look like they've turned it. Ozika will live on a sliver of health. But when Eno goes down, that is Swamp taking the best parts of Jester's composition, using them against them. And that Sejuani is so strong on aggression.
Yeah, for sure. It feels like it's almost never a good idea to follow Bard through his portal into a territory you have no vision of. It feels like you almost always get bamboozled by that wonderful space alien thing, whatever it is that he is. So now we're seeing a stack towards the top side, maybe going to try and answer back with just the turret here. Could have been a dive angle if not for Swamp being right in the correct place. They're just going to scare them off, though. No tier 1 collected quite yet for Rascal Jester in this top side.
No, they will be punished as well. The minion wave will reach mid. Yoshi not quite in position to dive there. Instead, we'll try and rush to the bottom lane, scoop that minion wave up. These micro objectives now, the minion waves, each a little economic advantage, playing on both teams' minds. We'll just about manage to pick that one up. AXIZ now trying to respond to just the top side. They know the threat of the Baron is there. Kaiser and Yone so fast on the objective. The freshly buffed Wukong just adding that extra bits of damage here that really do add up to a fast Baron threat. Both teams are just wary of not letting each other steal the game.
Yeah, it's on a knife's edge, despite the kill score being strong for AXIZ. It's almost precisely even in the gold, as it has been all along. That purple worm could be the difference maker for sure. As you point out, the various sources of DPS on RJ make a sneak very well possible at any time. AXIZ is going to have to stay mindful.
Stay mindful. They maybe stay nervous even. And Dodge, we're coming back, you know, another 10 minutes has passed since our last economic assessment, and what do you know? The game is even closer than last time, less than 100 gold in it. Teams are neck and neck.
That they are, and the item completion starting to show through off the back of it. Nothing particularly shocking on what has been chosen to be completed. It is Soul going for a full aggro take. I've been seeing a lot more of that Kraken Slayer in a post-12-10 world. Not as much room for the added utility of the Gale Force or the survivability of the Shield Bow these days, it seems.
That's not an AD carry item, Dodge, and I think we both know it. It's very sad.
You know, I don't know whether I should be happy or if it's like a monkey's finger or a monkey's paw, you know, the finger curling. Like, I wish Shield Bow wasn't in meta anymore. Oh, it's granted. You'll see what the meta is, buddy. They're going to need that Kraken Slayer now, as it will be the Scuttle Crab going on over to RJ there. About the highest action we'll see in the river for a little bit.
Cheer for your wards, cheer for your crabs. That's all we're going to see in the next few minutes. Megamin will reach Recap. Recap, a really good assignment here. He definitely wants to be against the Corki and as far away from Poppy as possible. So he's not going to complain. A little bit of aggression, and we may be seeing a wave or two that turn out into some sort of takedown.
Yeah. Checking in once again, just because I think it's a fun little item that doesn't get its due in solo queue, but I've been happy to see with the rise of Enchanter supports, lots of it in pro lately, that going to be the Shirelia's Reverie for Secret, going to make these engages even deadlier on a snap. Hachimecha can come forward, set up a nice big Cyclone with 1,000 movement speed. Love to see it.
Does further create the potential for Bard-style betrayals. You know, if a 300 health shield would have saved your teammate, I'd have maybe preferred to have seen it, but it's not the huge issue. Recap here, getting up in the front line will dash away. AXIZ teleported in, they were well ready, and oh my god.
Yeah, there's the Cyclone we were looking for. It's going to be matched by the hammer from Yellow Yoshi, though. He will get shielded up, and it will be Swamp to find the kill. Now they find another to AXIZ. Once again, the team fight victories falling into their pocket. It seems like they're always running away a few members with slivers of health, but you know what? It's not even close. If it's not dead, that's still going to be a victory, and it's going to lead to a tier 1 turret as well.
That's the worst teleport. All right, never mind. We didn't see that. Don't think about it, Sol. Just use your teleport. I know you're an AD carry main, but come on now. No defts here. AXIZ, huge praise for Swamp here. Just every time he's stolen a champion, the decisiveness, the quick action is normally turned into another kill or huge advantage. And while Recap and Secret are taking away this Baron, trying to sneak it away, the pings on AXIZ are aware.
Yeah, it's only 3 members here. They are taking it fairly fast with 2 sources of hard DPS, as now the Hex Gates might make the arrival appear just in time. Here comes the true shot. Barrage won't quite find the steal or the kill. It was a nice effort from Sangchu, though. So Rascal Jester, now they're the ones who feels like are hanging around. They're losing these 5v5 engagements, but they've been so good about finding these objectives in the top side.
It's just the sign of a veteran team that even when the team fight doesn't go its way, see the approach is slightly broken. Sol gets so chunked, a little bit from Sanctu, a little bit from Megaman. Engage from Hatch comes through. It is misleadingly exciting as nearly no follow-up still available. Hatch falls to the Heartbreaker and quickly, as well, falls foul of the Ruined King. But only a slight advantage here because the Baron power play started up for Jesters, even though they're at a huge takedown disadvantage, even though they just lost that team fight. And when it's all said and done, Dodge, if you look at that gold meter, it's still only 300, 200.
It looks like we're in some sort of bizarro world where the numbers just can't get too big. But finally, as multiple turrets start to get cracked here, it will cement a path to victory for RJ in the late game. They should have so much more control now. Even as AXIZ does position themselves on the precipice of Soul Point, it might be a lot harder for them to approach that next Hextech Drake and complete that Uber buff with their turrets down and, ostensibly more deep vision for Rascal Jester.
Time and time again, the Jesters have cross-mapped and gotten away where AXIZ has fought hard for a straightforward victory, a straightforward advantage, and it's not stuck. Clear to see the Jesters now want this top side. They want to make something unforced here. Come forced.
That they do.
Yeah, he's the presence here, and they're just gonna wait to see if they get Ozukar on his own.
I mean, a bit of a fanatic brush. They're playing it cautiously, or Axis. I think they know they don't have the control to be brazen around these blind spots. So now it'll be a big old fracas around this tier 3. I know, chunked out big time, but it's not going to result in too much. It's the retreat through the enemy jungle as RJ gets to pick up a nice little parting gift, pick up that red buff, still have the Baron empowered recalls in tow, get back on the reset, and finally have something of a gold lead at about 1K here.
A tiny, tiny chip on the tower and a little bit of extra farming. Rascal Jester's playing it slightly wider. Doesn't mean they will get a little bit of extra gold, as you would expect over the course of the Baron. It's small advantages, though. It's not a big win. Neither team really pulling ahead just yet. Will be that next Hextech Dragon. You see the timer on the corner of your screen, 2 minutes. Just to make the difference. We'll push away the bottom lane. Now what we want to see is the team come around that pushed minion wave, use it to try and find a move first onto this dragon to get some vision set up just ahead of time.
Yeah, should be the deciding factor, right, as we go all the way back to draft. Megaman and Sangchu with these poking champions going to be all about having that first setup on objectives so they can make it so difficult for the transversal of Rascal Jester across captured territory, rain down that artillery from afar. Going to have to be the game plan, although we haven't seen RJ win the straight 5v5 yet. Now with the bit of the lead that they have managed to accumulate for themselves, it feels a lot more possible, especially with recap on 2 items, but definitely going to be, it feels like the deciding factor of the game once this Drake does hit the rift.
Yeah, it's both teams have to play for this. One may slightly concede it, but there isn't a meaningful cross map available. Will only be some tower infrastructure at the most. Really means both teams are committed to this. Both set up vision around it. I know. Does that wave in? Megaman has his package, all the big buttons, all the big cooldowns. They matter right here, right now. This Hextech Dragon fight, neither team can afford any more bases. That's it. Your time is up. The fight must go forwards.
Yeah, beep beep, special delivery arriving just in time. They must have ordered it with prime shipping because Megaman is here and it gives them so much pressure to come into the enemy jungle. That's just going to be the clone chunked out for Hotch, still at a very full health bar. They could look for a 50-50. They do get a stealth ward down into the pit, 5 seconds to go. That's going to be the True Shot Barrage just trying to be used by Sanctuary there onto the wave for some prio. That might be critical as the fight begins.
All right, AXIZ have let Rascal Jesters into the pit, but they get an extra minion wave. They also have the ability to move out into mid lane completely unpressured, and they such respect for the package here as AXIZ have been able to walk straight back in once again. Jesters have to find a wombo combo, or this is a really, really bad position.
Nice poke landing onto Recap right through the wickets there. It's going to be AXIZ on the Drake, but it's starting to reset. Now Hotch is going to be tagged up. I know as the front line gets the ultimate out to find the CC, but Yellow Yoshi so immovable. Now the Tempered Fate going to find 2. The True Shot Barrage back already. I can't believe it. That might be the turning factor as it has to be RJ kiting back, but nobody has fallen as of yet.
I can't believe these Tempered Fates keep splitting.
Oh my goodness, that's going to be Recap setting it up, but they're not going to find the kills. It's going to be the Drake, as you do point out, but could it be AXIZ finding the clean wipe? They're trying to come through. They're bringing in the TP from Yellow Yoshi from base. Now Soul going in. He's going to find it onto Sanctuary. The outplay, the hard engage 80 carry plays. You love to see it, but now Yellow Yoshi trying to do what he can to secure from a distance his team to find something, but it's just 2 low health melee champions. They can't do anything from a distance. It's up to Yellow Yoshi, the Poppy one trick, to do what he can as Hotch running away with a sliver. The red buff, the corrupting pot tick won't do it. He gets out on probably 5 HP. Temporal. They might find Ino, but man, oh man, RJ keep getting away with murder in these trades.
They do. Ino's very, very tanky, so he's going to take a hot minute to go down. I'm not actually sure who got the dragon there.
I think Recap stole it, if I'm remembering correctly. I'm sure we'll get the recap in a second there.
I don't... Right, it was a Wukong, and I don't think Hatch went down, so I think Hatch stole it here. So Ino opens up, only manages to catch Ozuka with the Glacial Prison. The Tempered Fate splits the main unit, so that means Recap can't commit huge cooldowns, can't go on there. Half of the AXIZ side is still available to throw anything at him should he come forward. So Yellow Yoshi gets chunked out, and will have to sort of come back in later. That's sort of the big attempt there. Recap nearly catches out Ozuka, nearly catches out Swamp. It's not enough. Red side just go a little bit further, a little bit deeper. Teleport back in here.
Such a Chad move.
Oh, it's huge. This is why the Kaiser are just so good into Ezreal. You just manage to pick him out time and time again and get under his skin.
Aye, indeed. In that 1v1, you always got to place your bets on the Void Lady over the discount Indiana Jones of Ezreal, although he did a whole lot of work last fight. Not quite enough for the secured victory, as we see Recap going very deep, trying desperately to set something up, but once again, the Sejuani ultimate just not going to connect. I know, forced to pull back, as that is going to be one of their big cooldowns down for RJ. It's going to be the Baron Dance coming out once again here, Tim.
Both these teams just coming to their big objectives. And what you know, Dodge, it's been another 10 minutes since our last tournament check-in. And I'm afraid the forecast is once again even, with a chance of going nowhere.
Indeed, it's 53k to 53k. The items, it's about 3 apiece for everybody. I don't think I've ever seen a game with such an inequality of kills lead to such an equality of resources. It's really astounding here, but it speaks to both of these teams' strengths, right? AXIZ has been playing the fight so well, but RJ they have that capability to always find something, as it was Recap looking for something in the enemy jungle, just shy of connecting on that. You have to feel it would have been a solo kill if he could have made it, but not going to come through.
You know what? His ultimate's already a quarter of the way back up, so a great way to take Megaman's flash. However, the Corki just so mobile anyway, and just such great presence at long range. It's probably,
look at the Baron pit, though.
Yeah, it's probably not what you want. This ping's down. Swamp is starting to fight.
Yeah, it looked like they were starting to try and get a little sneak off just Ino and Hotch on there, but they realized pretty soon that was not the play. Just going to clear out the vision and get on out, and things aren't happening once again. All that just for nothing to happen. We love to see it. It will make the next thing to happen even more exciting, though, I'm sure.
I'm kind of glad AXIZ didn't go for the revenge play there. They have such great setup at long range. It's on Ezreal and Corki to maybe challenge a bad take from Jesters, and that's going to be a better play than just starting the Baron yourself. You don't want the Corki and the Ezreal sort of hemmed in, pinned into a position they can be approached on. And as such, AXIZ well and truly not giving Jesters a huge power play before this Baron is taken. Stalemate across. Another Hextech Dragon. Are you ready for AXIZ to maybe get the soul and maybe break this one open?
You know what? I don't believe it'll ever happen. We're going to 50 minutes. The train has left the station, and it's skipping its next couple stops. We're barreling towards a 50-minute game. I can feel it happening. But it would be nice to see AXIZ get this Hextech Soul here. We'll give them even more power in the team fights than they've already shown. I mean, it's just an absolutely busted buff, especially with the champions they have for themselves.
I think it's kind of incredible, playing on the poke that they can apply at such long range. As you mentioned, busted with these champions. Rascal Jesters will not give an inch. They are happy to trade here. I'm going to try and get this through ahead of time and make it a non-issue. AXIZ, though, responding directly. That is the package that's been timed with the dragon so carefully. Will now impact this Baron. That is Jesters taking a small health bar trade. Now both teams, they've run out of time. That dragon is up, and they have to run straight towards it.
Yeah, Rascal Jester happy to run it back, though. They are trying to pull them across the map. They're trying to turn them into Stretch Armstrong here, cover both areas at once. They're not going to send one, our AXIZ, to cover the Drake. They're going to fully commit to stopping this Baron. It's just a ping-pong back and forth. Once again, they're daring each other to do something.
Jesters will move first. I don't expect this to stick. AXIZ are well and truly in position, and even though I know it's so tanky, the damage here really significant. Sanctu's doing the dragon on his own. Recap will find him.
Yeah, they're sending two, but they get the soul at last to AXIZ. They collect on it. Their poke paying so many dividends around that Baron pit fight to keep any cross map from coming through. And now they should be able to walk up and get their setup down ahead of a potential Baron take of their own.
The package was used. Jesters did manage to stall that cooldown out and away. There is more potential for a team fight here. They should be less nervous.
Yeah, Recap going to snap back to reality there. Did get a little bit of poke out onto Sanctu, but he has the GA critically. We've seen how much damage he can do in these fights, and now with the soul, oh, the poke is so nasty from max range. This is looking so good for AXIZ. I'm actually so happy, considering we brought them in as the underdog to this matchup, right? They've played this composition so cleanly, but Recap trying to punish them at the 11th hour now. Secret maybe caught on the side, forced to pop that Shirelia's and that flash just for his own safety, but Swamp gets blast cone the wrong way, and now the tempered fate. I'm sure Secret's saying in comms, it wasn't even close. No worries, boys.
He's bought some time, but what for? The Jester's not able to push forwards in mid. AXIZ, and a little bit of positioning on this Baron.
Yeah, they're going to grab a
gosh.
piece of candy and commit now. I mean, all these Farsight wards are turned off. They are dark right now. Is another one going to get dropped? I mean, the Baron going down fairly quickly. Ozika half health. He could be the target. And look at Hacha waiting so patiently from the flank. This could be the teamfight setup they need. But Recap could not hit true with the Fate unsealed. He was knocked to the side. So now Megaman can find the first kill. And it should be AXIZ taking it as into the stopwatch goes Yellow Yoshi. The double kill for the Corki. And that should do it here as they are routed once again. Rascal Jester forced to run like dogs as AXIZ takes everything they want.
Oh, AXIZ found the position. It looked really untenable for a second. Being hemmed into that Baron pit is not what you want. And oh my gosh, more teleports back in. It's never going to stop. A fast Baron take. But AXIZ,
I really thought that flank from Hodge had it.
Sol had such a great approach. I think it was actually the Poppy Hammer that knocks Recap away from the perfect ultimate. I think he lined it up and it moves with you if you manage to displace Yone. The only thing holding AXIZ from being broken open in the team fight. And then they just buy so much time with that Rascal Jester's approach broken. AXIZ able to play it through, apply their soul, apply their Ezreal damage over a longer period of time. And they have finally dodge. It's been another 10 minutes. Our economic assessment is AXIZ is
lead!
looking pretty good. It's a lead. We'll take it. It's real.
I have to ask you, Temporal, you think teams are going to let Yellow Yoshi get Poppy again? Because
No.
I don't see it happening.
Severely doubt it. You know, you get your one at the start of every split. We saw it with the Smite last time. And while there's no more Smite gaming, it's probably not coming back.
Indeed, indeed. And what's nice for AXIZ, I believe, in opposition to how last split started, right, is Yellow Yoshi had his pop-offs, but I believe they started either 1-1 or 0-2 despite that. So if this does get converted, as it looks like it should, with this big push coming in through the bot lane towards the base, it'll be a 2-0 start for AXIZ. They just have to finish it off, and finding Hotch in his own jungle is a great way to start it. They'll pick up that kill before the Tempered Fate can intervene. They'll push onto this tier 2 with all these minions. They're looking for the dive. It's Recap forced to use that Fate unsealed defensively. Things looking so good for AXIZ right now. They can smell it.
There's not much in the way of wave clear. Rascal Jesters have always been trading away, pushing forwards, never so much defending. The Kaiser is not great wave clear. They don't really have that in the composition. Sol just takes pretty much his entire health bar from a missile. I don't even think it was a big one. The towers will fall. It has been a long time, but the forecast has finally shifted from dead even to AXIZ looking good. Yellow Yoshi pushing up in the front. The towers falling. Jesters completely scattered to the wind.
Yeah, it will be the last stand. It starts with the Glacial Prison, but it won't result in very much. Now it will be Recap going into the GA, but it is just going to be the victory for AXIZ coming through. They have upset the apple cart. They have taken down one of our best regular season teams from last split. All praise be to Yellow